In the last hours of the competition to unlock the target phone and win the prize, 15-year-old wunderkind Tony Stark's plan finally fell into place. While his fellow competitors were ultimately stymied by the biometric locks on the target phone's memory, Tony spent the first 20 hours of the competition building a new, blank phone from spare parts, much to the confusion of onlookers. But with the clock ticking, young Stark's plan became clear. He was able to duplicate the contents of the target phone onto his new device, bypassing the biometric locks entirely and gaining access to all the data contained. Using his handmade phone, the solder still warm, Stark was able to access the final clues, complete the puzzle, and claim victory over his classmates. A thrilling end to a white-knuckle event, and another feather in the cap of MIT's latest boy genius, son of Stark Industries CEO, Howard Stark. In just 5 years, advanced idea mechanics has topped technology markets across the spectrum, from personal electronics and medical devices to self-driving vehicles. Eclipsing their competitors with a dizzying release schedule and remarkably effective supply chain, AIM is now poised to transform the lives of most of the planet. The lion's share of the company's advances have come from the mind of brilliant CEO George Tarleton. But equally important is his partner and CTO, Monica Rappaccini, the mastermind behind AIM's now renowned R&D group. Together, they have secured several lucrative government contracts. The mayor of New York performed a first today, rewarding an inorganic entity with a key to the city. One of Advanced Idea Mechanics' new synthoids was honored on the steps of City Hall for bravery and heroism after he saved 6-year-old Holly Ann Ember from being crushed by an oncoming car. Her father, Sheriff Joseph Ember of Venture Ridge, Wyoming, said they were on vacation in New York and exploring Times Square when he lost sight of Holly Ann in the crowd. Luckily, the AIM synthoid was patrolling the area and saved the girl from the brink of death. This is not the first AIM device honored for its life-saving measures, but it's the first to get this kind of public and human recognition. CTO of AIM, Dr. Monica Rappaccini, commended the synthoid for acting according to its directives to preserve human life above its own. The mayor suggested both a contest to name the bot and a statue dedication in Central Park. As for the Embers, they were treated to a guided tour of one of AIM's facilities in New York by Dr. Rappaccini herself. Hope Pym, daughter of the still-missing scientist Dr. Henry Hank Pym, announced at a press conference yesterday that the reward for any information on her missing father's whereabouts had been increased to $100,000, double the amount offered after Dr. Pym's disappearance 3.5 years ago. Police have reported no new leads in the case since the note found in his home claiming plans to flee the country was identified as counterfeit. No signs of struggle or DNA evidence was recovered. Ms. Pym claims her father was last seen attending a benefit for the groundbreaking of a free AIM clinic for inhuman patients in Brooklyn, but several witnesses reported Dr. Pym leaving the event early in his personal vehicle, which valet receipts corroborate. Though Ms. Pym claims her father had an extensive security system, no evidence of such a system was found at his home. If you have any information on Dr. Pym's whereabouts, please call the police tip line at 555-PIM-NO. From the gathered footage of the crowds at the shoreline, it appeared there was some kind of explosion deep inside the helicarrier's hull. The shaking ceased, and for one brief moment, the Chimera hovered high above the bay, and then it fell like a rock into the waters below. It appeared the danger had passed, but then, from the Chimera's windows and portholes, a strange, dense blue mist belched forth, rapidly spreading across the waters, and then the city itself. A-Day, one of the greatest tragedies in our country's history. The Avengers unveiled their first helicarrier, the Chimera, equipped with an experimental reactor, powered by the newly discovered element, Terrigen. It was a day of celebration and patriotism, but soon after the festivities commenced, it was clear something was very wrong. Bystanders on the scene at A-Day recorded strange electrical emissions from the Chimera arcing to the waters of the bay. It was clear that something was happening aboard the helicarrier. With crowds fleeing in confusion and terror, the shaking dramatically increased in intensity. Buildings began to collapse across the city. Footage was captured of the Avengers desperately attempting to protect the crowds from the destruction. But it just wasn't enough. Disaster aboard the Avengers flagship, the Chimera, leveled San Francisco, killing hundreds. Dozens of survivors infected with dangerous, unnatural abilities. The inhuman condition. Even the esteemed Dr. Banner couldn't deny the Avengers' negligence. As can be seen in the archival footage, explosions on the Golden Gate Bridge split the Avengers' focus. By the time it was clear another attack had begun on the Chimera itself, Captain America was the last remaining Avenger aboard the vessel. The Chimera rose, as it was designed to do. Reports indicated a strange, low-frequency vibration as the Chimera crossed the bay. People felt it as far away as downtown San Francisco. Soon, the once still waters of the bay became choppy and agitated. In the weeks following A-Day, a congressional committee was formed to investigate those responsible. Tony Stark was implicated, with evidence submitted by George Tarleton and Monica Rappaccini suggesting that their warnings of the potential dangers of the Chimera's reactor were ignored. With Captain America killed in the event, Dr. Bruce Banner stepped in to answer for their part in the tragedy. He admitted, under oath, that they were aware of possible faults in the new reactor. With public pressure mounting, Dr. Banner agreed that the Avengers should disband. Melissa says she doesn't know when she can go home, and right now, she's not holding out any hope. While some are grateful for the temporary housing supplied by Stark Industries after A-Day, many have serious questions about their future. Melissa Gold, a 22-year-old student from Oakland, has serious concerns about the long-term plans for recovery. The refugee camps that were once a necessity can no longer be the solution, and with the help of AIM, we will rebuild the communities we lost, said now Program Director Melissa Gold. Hundreds of thousands were left permanently displaced after that tragic day, many of whom are still living in temporary emergency housing. But with a surprise donation of $2.4 billion from Advanced Idea Mechanics, things are finally looking up for the victims of A-Day. Following AIM's emergency public warning today, I can confirm that Iron Man and the Hulk were seen together in a remote area of Utah, apparently resisting arrest by local authorities. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, a small crowd gathered in New Jersey's Heroes Park to celebrate their reappearance after more than 4 years, but they were quickly dispersed by police. An AIM spokeswoman called any celebration pre-A-Day thinking and cautioned that Iron Man and the Hulk have shown alarming signs of mental instability in recent years. We've all seen what can happen when beings with this kind of power operate outside the law, and that's what they're doing now, she warned. We won't risk the loss of any more American cities, end quote. If anyone has information about the whereabouts of any former Avengers, they are asked to contact an AIM call center immediately. It appears Hawkeye's former protege, Kate Bishop, has resurfaced. Her whereabouts were unknown since the destruction on A-Day. Still no word on her mentor, Clint Barton. It's possible Bishop intends to take over the mantle. She has been spotted with the Avengers, but that's all we know so far. AIM declined to comment. Is S.H.I.E.L.D. back? AIM has dismissed the recent attack on their storage facility as corporate espionage, but sources say ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel may be to blame. Viewers will remember that after the tragedy of A-Day, AIM took over as the global peacekeeping force, while S.H.I.E.L.D.'s budget was defunded and most agents took retirement packages. But amid the rising tension between S.H.I.E.L.D. and AIM, S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury suddenly disappeared, as did others. Is there a shadow S.H.I.E.L.D. organization still at large? And if so, what's their agenda? What we witnessed tonight is something this nation has lived in terror of for 5 years. A tragedy on the scale of A-Day was narrowly avoided over the skies of New York, thanks to the quick actions of Advanced Idea Mechanics. If not for the fast response of their defense forces, the Chimera would surely have crashed into Manhattan, doing untold damage to this densely populated city. The Avengers are indeed back, but their motivations are unclear, and their tactics as concerning as ever. Much of America rests uneasy tonight as they wonder where these once mighty heroes could appear next, what their goals are, and what kind of destruction they might leave in their wake. What? Why didn't you tell me we were on? Friends, I'm broadcasting from the beautiful American Southwest, where AIM has invested millions of dollars to build a new, state-of-the-art research campus. One of AIM's top scientists, Dr. Lyle Getz, has gone missing. AIM is offering a reward for any information on his whereabouts. You have to wonder what's really going on in AIM's labs if high-ranking officials can just go missing, right? This after the sudden resignation of Helen Gable does seem suspicious. AIM issued an official statement today, downplaying their association with the vigilante group The Watchdogs after the self-described Human Pride group incited an anti-inhuman riot in downtown Los Angeles. During an AIM press conference, CTO Monica Rappaccini reassured the public that AIM is doing everything in their power to solve the inhuman issue and that resorting to street justice, as she called it, was both illegal and directly opposed to AIM's mission statement. Rappaccini insisted that a cure for inhuman syndrome will soon be available. While she said she understood the concern and frustration that could make people resort to watchdog-style tactics, she urged the public to remain calm and patient and let AIM do its work. In news of the weird, hunters in the Pacific Northwest have reported seeing a Bigfoot-like creature roaming through the forest, scaring away local wildlife. They describe it as large, malformed, and grayish-green. Authorities believe this may be a bear with a serious case of mange and ask that if you see this creature, you do not approach and instead call your local animal control. Normally, I don't report on unconfirmed stories, but the sheer number of eyewitnesses makes this one credible. Multiple people have called in saying they've seen SHIELD agents in the Pacific Northwest. What is perhaps even more striking is the reaction. Some callers were fearful, worried this would lead to open conflict with AIM. Others, though smaller in number, were hopeful. To them, AIM has far exceeded its authority, and SHIELD would represent a return to a more trusted security organization. What are your thoughts? Let us know. Respondents will remain anonymous. In breaking news, Captain America is not only supporting, but is in fact now leading the resistance. Witnesses downtown spotted SHIELD agents and Inhumans following his orders to destroy AIM's Adaptoid facility. In a worldwide first, the Adaptoids were seen in battle against the rebels. Many onlookers were frightened by the display of uncontrolled power on the part of the Adaptoids, but AIM has assured the public that the Adaptoid program's only goal is defense and protection, and that strong security protocols are in place. Hello, friends. This is Phil Sheldon. I'm reporting live from the scene here in North Dakota. Have you seen a renegade Thor in your hometown? We've started a hotline for Thor sightings after the last department store break-in by the shoulder-padded Hebrew. Tell us your stories, and you could be part of the story. Operators are standing by. An anonymous source has confirmed that the Avengers are again working with SHIELD, as both organizations have been spotted around the Pacific Northwest. Little is known about their actions, and AIM dismisses the reports as unsubstantiated. But while some fear a return to the conditions that caused A-Day, others feel hope, the chance of a return to a time of heroes, when we felt protected and inspired. I remember it too, but I wonder if it's possible to ever get that back again. I'm sorry to interrupt, Doctor, but some of my sources are saying this wasn't an attack at all, that the Avengers have their own story to tell, of misconduct by your company, of inhuman experimentation and torture. Some call it a cult. Practitioners insist they're just exercising their right to freedom of religion, but the existence of their deity is a matter of fact, not faith. Tonight, a special report on the growing phenomenon of Thor worship. A legitimate denomination, or just an excuse to not go to work on Thursday? You decide. Once a Russian spy, always a Russian spy? Advanced Idea Mechanics announced the loss of a private plane in a crash they say was orchestrated by Natasha Romanoff, the former Black Widow. The Russian government has disavowed any contact with Romanoff. An AIM spokesman suggested she was operating as a mercenary and corporate saboteur at best, or, at worst, a terrorist. This is Phil Sheldon, live on the scene here in Manhattan. You may have heard of the Resistance. Not really an organization in itself, it's been a catch-all term for smaller groups of people fighting back against what they see as oppression by AIM. but lately the resistance seems more organized, and it begs the question, what exactly are they fighting for? AIM has told us Inhumans are contagious, but both humans and Inhumans seem to be joining this resistance in striking numbers. Is this a recipe for the conditions that created A-Day, or has the public been misled about the danger presented by Inhumans? The so-called resistance is no longer just a vocal internet minority. The recently resurrected Captain America hijacked an AIM satellite to broadcast a message of support to the rogue group before destroying the satellite. AIM continues to insist this is an imposter posing as Captain America, and as they put it, tainting the memory of an American hero. The attacks on AIM clinics continue. This time, an AIM hypercircuit station was the target. AIM has declined to comment, but unconfirmed reports from the ground are starting to paint a somewhat disturbing picture of AIM's inhuman treatment efforts. What's really going on at those clinics? This reporter intends to find out.
Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Are we on? Can you hear me? Okay, hold on. The weather seems to have calmed down in recent days. Residents remain skeptical, worried this is merely a break in the middle of a larger storm event. We'll be monitoring the situation closely, but for now, we can cautiously say that the storm has passed.
Scientists are continuing to monitor a possible volcanic eruption in the Arctic Circle. They maintain the rising ocean temperatures are a temporary change, but due to the deterioration of the Arctic glacier thanks to climate change, they cannot predict the full extent of the damage from this more natural disaster. Effects on local fish and wildlife remain to be determined, as vessels are currently being kept out of the area for their own protection.
Phil Sheldon here, reporting live from Austin.
In an abrupt reversal, AIM has officially confirmed the resurgence of S.H.I.E.L.D. and condemned them as a terrorist organization. They claim Maria Hill, former S.H.I.E.L.D. commander, is leading an effort to attack AIM's servers and compromise national security information, including civilian personal data. In this reporter's opinion, it seems unlikely for an organization like S.H.I.E.L.D., with its honorable record, to suddenly turn to espionage and identity theft. And AIM has recently proven less than transparent. Is there something about AIM that S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to find out? If so, what does AIM have to hide? In other news, NASA officials offered no further information on the extraordinary meteor shower witnessed in the night skies over much of the Midwest early this morning. With the Avengers active again, many are understandably watching the sky with concern. But an astronomy expert from AIM has assured us that the phenomena like today's, while rare, are perfectly normal. And in this case, the public was free to, and I quote, enjoy the show.
I'm Phil Sheldon, reporting live from somewhere in rural Utah. Where are we again? Oh, I'm live. Okay. This is Phil Sheldon reporting live from Los Angeles.
What you just witnessed was blurry footage from an older phone, but there's no mistaking what it shows. The Incredible Hulk wreaking havoc somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I received this from an anonymous source who described waking up in his campsite to the sound of gunfire, screaming, and an unmistakable roar. He approached the chaos with caution and captured this exclusive footage of the Green Goliath fighting what appear to be some kind of armed soldiers. We know this area is close to an old Stark Industries archive. So the question on many minds today is, are we seeing the reemergence of the Avengers? And if so, does that herald a return of the Age of Heroes? Or the horror of A-Day all over again? Utah residents, did you feel an earthquake this morning? The United States Geological Survey measured a 4.1 quake just to the west of the Escalante Desert. Advanced Idea Mechanics, who has a factory near the earthquake's epicenter, reported no injuries or property damage. They dismissed persistent online reports that they were testing experimental explosives as baseless conspiracy theories.
I have Dr. Rappaccini of AIM on the line to help clarify some of the extraordinary events that have occurred tonight. Doctor, can you hear me? Sheldon here, reporting live from Miami.
The small town of Venture Ridge, Wyoming was evacuated 2 years ago after an inhuman outbreak, but the sleepy desert community was in the news again today after the local sheriff called in an emergency to state law enforcement. Upon arrival, authorities noted nothing amiss, and the sheriff was reprimanded for unlawful use of the public emergency system.
Christ, isn't there any good coffee in this one-stop sign town? Why does AIM insist on building their new offices in the middle of nowhere?
At times like this, friends, it's hard for the average American to untangle fact from fiction. This week has seen a series of extraordinary events. The return of the Avengers sparked an armed response from advanced idea mechanics, to the point where many felt AIM crossed lines and overstepped their authority. We witnessed a near-tragic accident in New York, an outbreak of the Inhuman disease, and open conflict between the Avengers and the vigilante group known as the Watchdogs. And now, we've received several unsubstantiated reports of a giant humanoid-like figure appearing near the San Francisco quarantine zone. Was it the Ant-Man? And if so, what was he doing? Coming up in the next hour, the new CEO of AIM, Monica Rappaccini, will be holding a press conference to discuss recent events, including the revelation of Dr. George Tarleton's removal from the organization. Stay tuned. Today, Advanced Idea Mechanics came out against the activities of the Watchdogs, a vigilante anti-inhuman bounty hunter group operating nationwide. In a press release, they described the activities of the Watchdogs as dangerous and illegal and counter to the humanitarian mission statement of their company. The Watchdogs, in turn, claimed AIM has not done enough to deal with the inhuman problem, forcing them to take matters into their own hands. A buzz of excitement has settled over New Jersey and Heroes Park as we count down the hours to the AIM experience. CEO Dr. George Tarleton has promised nothing short of a revolutionary announcement as the organization prepares to unveil their latest suite of technology, including their cutting-edge Adaptoid AI. After 5 years, AIM shows no sign of slowing down. If I can editorialize for a moment, as one who covered the emergence of the Age of Heroes and the sense of hope and excitement that followed, this feels similar, but even more inspiring because it's normal human ingenuity creating the technological renaissance that continues to change the way we live. It's hard to believe that 5 years ago, the nation mourned one of its shining cities. We've come a long way. And in this reporter's opinion, it's an exciting time to be alive.
Regarding the strange weather, AIM has released this statement. The unusual weather patterns are no cause for concern. AIM's top meteorologists have been monitoring the storms and have concluded there is no immediate danger. If you are in one of the rural areas affected by the storms, you may call AIM's hotline for precautions you can take to minimize disruption to your daily routine.
Using documents obtained via the Freedom of Information Act, this reporter has been looking into AIM's records and made a shocking discovery. There are no known inhuman deaths caused by this disease, except for those being monitored by AIM scientists. Are deaths among the community or in local hospitals just not being reported? Or is AIM's cure worse than the purported disease? Our requests for documents directly from AIM have been refused on grounds of medical confidentiality, but calls for a congressional investigation are growing.
Is this thing on? Mic check. Hello. You got me? Okay. Stand by.
Breaking news. We have reports of a break-in at one of AIM's primary research labs. Vital samples needed to create the inhuman cure were stolen. While local authorities search for the culprits, construction has already begun at the facility to repair the extensive damage. AIM has also increased security to protect those seeking treatment for the inhuman disease. A spokesman said, quote, "Haven't these people suffered enough?"
And what of the Avengers? Doesn't the public deserve to hear what they've got to say? This is Phil Sheldon, reporting live from the Olympia Research Campus in the Pacific Northwest.